Arena here for yet another final that we have here today. This, of course, is the Assetto Corsa Competizione grand final that we'll be having today. 10 drivers have been, I want to say hand-selected, but they haven't, because essentially they've raced their way into this final over the past 4 weeks. Now, of the 4 drivers, 4 of them have walked away with a victory, including Hamid Al-Mujel, who won round 1, Abdullah Jadid won round 2, and round 3 the winner was Ahmed Al-Obeid, and round 4 winner was Walid Tahir. Of course, all 4 of them are here in our grand finale. Now, we're just having practice here. It'll be a 10-minute session as well. Then we'll have 10 minutes of qualifying, and then we'll have a 20-minute race here around Silverstone in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now, just a note for those who are watching, whether it be on the stream or live here at the Aramco Sim Arena, all the drivers will be using a single car, and or a single make even, and that is the Aston Martin Vantage, the 2018-19 one that is, with the V8 4-litre bi-turbo engine built by AMG. So all the cars, we're essentially running a spec series here, as all the cars are identical for all 10 of our drivers here. Now, a few of the drivers have done more than one round to race their way into our finale here. And of course, one of those drivers is the man that's 4th in points, Walid Tahir, who actually won the 4th round. Now, he actually has a lot of points on offer. However, he didn't need any more points than just that single win. However, it took him 4 races to get that win, with what looks to be a 3rd place finish, and then outside the top 5 as well. But with that victory in round 4, he secured his ticket into the finale here. Now, we also have Safani, who was here yesterday. He raced as well on GT Sport. He is here today in the Assetto Corsa Competizione GT final as well. We have Khalid Al-Mahboub here. Now, he finished the standings with 31 points, so he's just 2 points behind. That's how close the competition was to race your way into the final. Abdelkader Ghazawi, speaking to him earlier on as well, he raced here yesterday in the GT Sport final as well, finished 4th overall, but looking for an improved finishing position here, and hopefully on one step at least to the podium. He was saying maybe 2nd or 3rd, but I think he can really push it for the top step of the podium here in our 2nd day of finals. Raed Al-Rifai, he raced here yesterday as well. He's raced his way into this final. He was 8th on the leaderboard with 26 points, just 1 point behind Ghazawi. He is just ahead of Ali Mohammed, who raced his way in with 26 points. So actually him and Rafai were evenly matched. However, the driver that got the points before the other driver did, so aka here in this case, Raed Al-Rafai got the 26 points needed to race his way into the final before Ali Mohammed did. And then last but not least is Khalid Al-Sahrani. He raced into the final here with just 12 points to his name, and that was enough to secure him a place here in our grand finale. So let's have a look at where all our drivers are. So starting from the bottom row here on the far left is Hamid Al-Mujel. Safani is on the 2nd simulator with Abdullah Jadid alongside him in the 3rd simulator on the bottom row. In the 4th simulator, Aziz Al-Saud is here. Now, he was not part of this here, so it looks like we may have had a slight change between drivers, because I'm not seeing him here with points. Now, I wonder who are we missing here on my sheet. It looks like we're missing Khalid Al-Mahboub is missing here. So unfortunately may not have made it here for the final. The 5th and final simulator on the bottom row is Abdelkader Ghazawi. And then on the top row here, starting from the far left on simulator number 6, is Raed Al-Rifai with Ali Mohammed alongside. Walid Tahir also not on my sheet here as well. So, oh yes, he is. He was 4th, wasn't he? We were talking about him before. Ahmed Al-Obeid on the 9th simulator, and then the 10th and final simulator here, Khalid Al-Zahran on the far right-hand side. Now, we did have the GT Sport final yesterday. Now, simulators there are, I don't want to say they're basic in comparison to what we're racing here today, because the simulators that we were using here for this Assetto Corsa Competizione final is far more immersive, and if you haven't had a go on it yet, I highly urge you to have a go at it as soon as we've wrapped up with the finals, because of course we are here till about 1 AM here, local time, so there's plenty of time for you to check it out. Of course, as well, there's tomorrow, the day after as well. The Aramco Sim Arena will be around for a few more days if you like to sample one of the pieces of machinery we have. Of course, we've got Assetto Corsa Competizione on the far left. In the middle, we've got F1 2022, and on the far right, we have Gran Turismo Sport. Now, going back to the simulators here that we're using today, as we said, they're far more immersive. It really gets the drivers in the zone. It really feels like you're driving the actual car out on track. And to add to the realism, of course, you can drive in the cockpit view, which, of course, you really get into things in the car. Finishers, so we'll have 5 drivers on the podium at the end of our 20-minute race, and each of them will walk away with a cash prize, and one of them may also walk away with something a little extra as well, something maybe a bit more comfortable from what they're currently using right now. So as the practice session winds to a close, we'll head off into qualifying, and then of course we will be able to see who will be where. We're looking at Safani here. He was in a heated battle yesterday for the lead in our GT Sport final. It was a fantastic battle in the first 10 minutes, and then unfortunately, as he was telling us after the race, he just missed the gear going around the corner, and that just dropped him way down, and he finished about 3 seconds off of yesterday's race winner, Yasser Al-Mansour, who's not with us here today, although we do have a few drivers that were racing with us. Safani is one of them. Abdul Qadir Ghazawi is another. Rayed Al-Rifai is here again, and I think he's the third and final driver that has done now what would be 2 essential GT finals here. Not GT final, because we're using Assetto Corsa Competizione for this final. So free practice still underway, and interesting enough, still Al-Ubaid has not put a time in. Now, he is, well, is relatively in our vicinity here. I can't really see any messages pinging up on his screen. Yes, his time is being picked up, and he's picked up a number of penalties. He just hasn't had a lap time that has not been deleted, essentially. Still showing us the far left of your screen, you'll see that it says no time, and that he's between himself and the current section leader. Leading the section at the moment, 2:01.427. Steeler is dipping lower, at least until the 2 minutes flat. Drivers here using the same car, or using the GT3 spec Aston Martin V8 Vantage, with the bi-turbo 4-litre displacement around over 500 horsepower. And that brings an end to practice.
Green light, go, go, go.
Into qualifying here to set the field up for our final here for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Let's keep it nice and short to ACC. Now, I highly recommend, if you haven't played this before, do yourself a favour and don't buy it on a console. I do own a copy of it on my Xbox, and it's a lot different with a proper racing simulator as well. It's really, really immersive. And actually, it's a lot easier to race with a full setup as we have here from pole position. And I highly recommend you do check it out before it's too late. So qualifying underway, another 10-minute session here. Give or take, we'll have around 4 to 5 laps if we can dip into the 2-minute flats, but I do believe it'll be closer to 3 to 4 laps of qualifying here around Silverstone. So of course we're using the Silverstone GP circuit configuration, just over 6 kilometers in length, a little bit longer and more corners compared to our race yesterday. A little bit of a collision there with the pace setter in free practice earlier on today. Now I do see from my position right now that Ahmed Al Obeid is tweaking his settings. Now of course we are allowing the drivers here to tweak as much of the car as they like. They also have the option to race either with an automatic transmission or a manual transmission, depending on what they feel comfortable with. No doubt most of them, if not all, will actually be using a manual transmission here with the paddle shifters mounted onto the sim rigs here. And again, talking about the sim rigs, it's an impressive piece of kit. It even has full motion as well that moves you around along with the car. And again, it really puts it into perspective and really immerses you with the experience of actually driving one of these cars around Silverstone. So it looks like the flying lap is about to conclude. As through the penultimate corner now will come the first driver. That's Ali Mohammed, who will be the first to cross the line and be the first to start a timed lap here around Silverstone. And let's see how the pace is. We've got a quartet of cars here that will be, well, slipstreaming one another. Unfortunately for Ali Mohammed, he hasn't got anyone to slipstream, but the 3 cars behind him, including Jerdid, will be able to pick up the tone. I see Al Rafai is in the mix as well in this 4-car train. And just behind him, you'll see that the name says Gamer. His name is actually Safani, and it's using his last name here, but we'll refer to him as Safani. So to avoid any confusion, if we're looking at someone that has the name Gamer on top of his car, he is Safani. And we'll keep a close eye on him, because as I said before, a fantastic battle with him and Al Mansour yesterday, which no doubt we'll see the same again here today. Jadid looking on the inside here of Ali Mohammed to see if he can be the leader of this quartet, as Ali Mohammed runs a little bit wide through the corner there, but of course track limits allowing you to do so. Of course with ACC there are penalties that are automatically applied if you cut the track, if you shunt into the back of someone like that. So someone is going to be picking up a slight penalty there, and no doubt that will be under investigation from the ever so watchful eye of the stewards that we have here. Despite us racing online and digitally, we do try and make it as real as possible, including authentic race directors, stewards, so on and so forth, to, you know, really get that feel of racing. So it looks like we're fast approaching, well, we're now in the 3rd sector of the track, so we should soon enough be able to get the first lot of lap times in. I can't really predict who it will be out in front at the beginning of this session, because of course we still have over 6 minutes remaining, so it looks like we'll probably get around 3 laps of qualifying here. The 4th lap would have been, of course, the out lap or flying lap, so to speak. So it looks like the first driver to come across the line will be Ali Mohammed, who is leading the quartet of cars across the line. Behind him is Al Rafai, who will be the 2nd driver across the line. So let's see what the first time to be put on the board is and who it is. It's a 2:03.222 for Al Rafai. It looks like the time for Ali Mohammed did not count. So he must have had an off-track excursion, or he's had a little bit of contact with somebody somewhere that we may have seen previously. But Ghazawi also puts a time in, and he's 1/6 of a second off at the moment, which puts him in the low 204s, close to the 203 bracket. And Al Saud is across the line. He is 4th fastest, no, 5th fastest, because Al Rafai, Al Mujel has actually gone to the top of the time sheets here, already going into the 2 minutes here, and he just dips a 1/10 of a second under 201, but that's good enough at the time being for pole position, essentially, with 5 minutes to go on the clock. 2.3 seconds is the gap between pole position and 2nd. Of course, they will share the front row of the grid, but for Al Rafai, he's going to be wanting to start in that all-important pole position. Ghazawi is 3rd for the time being, 2.9 seconds off the pace, and then Al Zahran is 3.5 seconds adrift in 4th position, and Al Saud will be 6.2 seconds to the good at the moment. In 5th position. We still have at least 5 drivers who have not put a time in. Well, Tahir has just come across the line and done a lap time there, but he's 6.7 seconds adrift from Al Mujal at the moment. And Al Mujal community on the bottom row on the left-hand side simulator as well, so that makes it easy. He's in pole position and he's on simulator rig number 1 here as well. So that's nice and easy, very convenient as well for us here. So 4 drivers have yet to put a time in. Al-Ubaid has just put one in, so that leaves 3, and he's shot all the way up into 3rd position, 2.6 seconds off of El Majel's time here around Silverstone. So we're looking at Al Rafai here, he is 2nd at the moment. So Jardid, Safani and Ali Mohammed have yet to put a time in. And interestingly enough, Safani and Ali Mohammed are actually in the same train at the moment. It's actually Safani there goes 1.4 seconds slower than the current pole sitter, but more importantly, he's put himself on the 2nd row of the grid, having completed his 2nd lap here. Now Ali Mohammed has joined him as well in the top 3, as he is now 1.6 seconds back from pole position. Ghazawi is closing in as well. He's 1.9 seconds adrift, and he will start presumably on the 2nd row of the grid, but still 3 minutes remaining on the clock. And it's almost as if it's a race here already, as we're looking at Safani at the moment, and on the left-hand side of it, we quite can't catch who that is because he's behind Rafai at the moment. But who is he who's battling there out with on track during a qualifying session here? And it was Muhammad Ali, and around goes Al Rafai, and I think that was Safani there who's just in the wrong place, and he just missed the braking point there, and unfortunately that's taken them both out, and it's ruined possibly 2 good laps as well in just one full swoop. So it's only Jardid who has not put a time in. That's Abdullah Jardid, who's on the 3rd simulator here. We're waiting to see what he can do on what would be here the final lap. And here's a quick replay of the move Safani did there. Yeah, unfortunately, just a little bit too early on the pedal. And of course, for Rafai, he was a passenger and all that as well, because he was on the racing line, but unfortunately, Safani there missed his, well, didn't miss his rear bumper because he made a contact there, didn't he? And that's unfortunately taken 2 drivers off. So Rafai, who is looking for improvement, is going to have to hope that he can get at least 1 more lap in before the timer goes all the way down to 0. As there he is again with Safani. On the left-hand side of your pictures, Al Rafai. On the right-hand side with Safani, who makes his way quickly around Al Rafai. And unfortunately for Rafai, he's dropped down to the 3rd row of the grid. Now, who is that that's improved? I have a feeling it's Al-Ubaid who's moved up the order. As here is the current pace setter in the field, Al Majal, with the 2-minute 9:05. So no improvement yet on his time. However, he's sitting, more importantly, in the pole position as we ride on board with him now as he makes his way through the final corner and he'll come across the line. Now, does he improve his time this time round? As he'll have one more chance now to see if he can best his time. So across the line, he doesn't improve this time round. But of course, he still has a minute or so to try and stretch that gap out a little bit more. So it's 1.4 seconds back to Safani with Al-Ubaid, who's 1.5 seconds adrift from our pace setter Al Majal. And alongside him for the time being is Ali Mohammed. Jardid has still not put a valid lap time in, so might be having a couple of issues here, might have to tweak his setup ever so slightly. Now, he's got enough time, by the looks of it, is he coming through the final corner now? No, he's not. He's on the other side of the track at the moment. Yes, he is. And he's quite a ways back, but he's got to be careful here. He's got to make sure that he stays on track, doesn't cut any parts of track or make any contact, because he needs to put a lap time in if he wants to start anywhere but on the 5th row of the grid here before the start of our ACC final. Our final 10 drivers here today will be racing for a prize pool worth 11,000 Saudi Arabian riyals, and qualifying now is officially over. So this, of course, is the last lap for all drivers. Al-Ubaid has come across the line, no improvement there, but he will start unofficially on the 2nd row of the grid. But let's see now, where is Ali Mohammed currently in? He's working his way. He's right at the back, is he? No, he's not. He's coming across the line now. Now, can he improve and can he go into 3rd overall? And looks like Abdullah Jardid does actually get a lap in there, and he moves himself up to 3rd. On the 3rd row of the grid. Safani is across the line as well. No improvement there. Oh, yes, there is an improvement, come to think of it, because he's closed the gap down by around 0.5 of a second on that lap. However, he's still a second back. Now, as the rest of the field work their way across the line, we will then see who will be starting where, but for the time being, it looks like Al Majal, his time of 2 minute 0.905 is secure and good enough for pole position, and Safani will start alongside him, and it will be attempting a victory here as he tried to do yesterday. Let's just hope he's able to get the car into gear when he needs it. Just one more driver to come across the line. It looks like we don't have any changes yet. So it is Tahir who we're waiting to come across the line, and he is nearing, but it looks like, no, he's not come across the line unless we're going to set the field exactly like we are now as Al Rafai goes off into the grass, just to check how exactly that feels. We've lost the track map, so I can't tell you exactly where Walid Tahir is on track in comparison to the start-finish line. He was in close proximity, he was in the third sector, so he should be across the line momentarily, and let's see if he can improve from 5.7 seconds back. Well, I think that's the end of qualifying there by the looks of it, and then you saw the fastest laps of the race. 2 purple sectors for Al Majal, but 1 purple sector as well, sort of halfway through the field. So left-hand side is your starting grid here. Al Majal will start on the front row of the grid with Safani alongside for company. Ghazawi will line up on the second row of the grid with Al Abeid in 4th position. Ali Mohammed with Abdullah Jadid will line up on row number 3 in 5th and 6th respectively. Al Rafai on the 4th row of the grid with Al Zahran alongside him. Then Walid Tahir and Al Saud are your top 10 and will share the final row of the grid here. So 10 drivers, it will be a rolling start here. Now the drivers have to be careful because if they're out of line or going over 60 kilometers an hour, they can incur a penalty. It looks like on the left-hand side already, or right-hand side now, left-hand side again, there is some drivers that are out of place. Safani is certainly out of place, as is Al Majal, because it looks like he's trying to cover him as well. Now the stewards will be looking at that. Now is this an aborted start? Because we've gone across the line already. Or have we? Yes, no, now we're going. Good. Lights out and away we go here. We are green flag racing for the final time here in Assetto Corsa Competizione. And drama already as Jadid is spun round on the very first corner. And unfortunately that drops him all the way down. No doubt the stewards and the race director will be looking at the start there, because that was certainly not an organised start at all. There were a lot of drivers out of place, especially up front, but Safani all over the back of Al Majal already, and it looks like we've got a nice tight line of at least 5 cars here vying for the lead of the race. Then we've got a bit of a breakaway down to 2 more cars, and then we've got Jadid all the way at the back of the grid, unfortunately, due to contact earlier on. Now, I wonder if we get a replay of exactly who he had contact with on track, to see if we can spot what exactly happened as Safani is all over the back of Al Majal Hill as we come out. This is only the first lap as well, and it's already getting exciting in this 20-minute race. So, like we did yesterday, 20 minutes of racing here around Silverstone as Safani gets it a little bit wrong there and loses a bit of time there to Al Majal. And it's not going to be an easy one here. Here's the race start. So that was sort of mid-pack there at the moment, and that's no fault of Jadid at all. He was just punted off on the very first corner, and unfortunately for him, he's going to have to work his way back through the field. And it looks like, ooh, that looks to be Al Majal has had an issue because he is no longer in the lead of the race, and that looks to be Safani is off. Another driver is off in the background as well. So on the very first lap of the race, it's already been calamity here at the Aramco Sim Arena. So Al Majal dropping what looks to be third. Yes, it is. He's behind Al Abeid, and Safani is now off into the distance. Now, it looks like Al Majal has a drive-through penalty. That's what that DT means on the left-hand side of your screen next to his name. And it looks like that's a little bit of an unnecessary contact there from Al Majal. He's got to be careful here as well, because he's only got 3 laps to serve that drive-through penalty. And of course, what we can't see on his screen is he has a red note that will say you have a drive-through penalty and you must come in within the next 3 laps to serve that penalty, or you could be disqualified from the race. And of course, that's not something you'd want to have. You don't want the drive-through to begin with anyway. So here he is off track at the moment, and you can see he just tries to shut the door on Al Abeid there, but it looks like that's just, he's not looking in his mirrors at all. And for Al Abeid, unfortunately, that drops him back to fight to the second back at the moment in 3rd position overall. But for Safani, he is racing away here. Unfortunately, didn't get the race win yesterday, but he's looking for a victory here this time round in the Assetto Corsa Competizione final here at the Aramco Sim Arena. And of course, we expect Al Majal to come in within the next 2 laps, actually, to come and serve that drive-through penalty. We saw Ghazawi all the way down there in 8th position, unfortunately. Speaking to him earlier today, he was looking for a strong finish, finished 4th yesterday in our GT Sport final. But unfortunately, he's got a lot of work to do here if he wants to be on any step of the podium here around Silverstone. As Stephanie continues to extend his lead here, he's 1.4 seconds up the road. Now the good news is for him is that the driver behind him has a drive-through penalty, so he doesn't have to push too hard, but he does have to be careful because Al Majal is closing the gap at the moment, and that looks a lot closer than 1.4 seconds here around Silverstone. It certainly does look a lot less. Indeed, there's a 0.5 of a second there between the two of them. So the timing screw was slightly about a second off not too long ago. As all the drivers come through Sector 3 now for the second time here. We completed the first lap and it hasn't been incident-free at all. So, of course, the stewards and the race director will be looking into that after the race. Again, definitely guarantee there will be a protest at the end of the race here for a handful of moves that we've seen already. Jadid, unfortunately, was one of the recipients of said moves not too long ago, so we're looking at a replay there. Not sure what the replay was exactly, and it looks like Al Majal has not come into the pit lane yet for it to do his drive-through penalty, so he will have to do it next time round, because if he received it on the very first lap of the race and he came across the line, that would count essentially as a lap completed, so he'd only have 2 laps to come in and do it. So he's going to have to do it this time round. That's going to really slow him down, and of course he has to be very conscious of his speed in and out of the pit lane, because if he goes over 80 kilometers an hour in the pit lane at any point, even entering, he's going to have an issue here. Now he's 0.6 of a second off of Safari here at the moment. He's looking for a podium finish, but however that drive-through penalty is going to drop him back. How far back it's going to drop him, I'm unsure at the moment. It will most likely drop him down to just 3rd, because looking at the gaps, Al Ubaid is 1.8 seconds adrift, and then it's a further 6.2 seconds back to Al Zahran, and then 1.2 seconds back to 5th position of Jadid, who unfortunately, as we said before, was caught up in a dilemma earlier on. So that's Abdullah Jadid, who is looking to make some ground here. Looking at Walid Tahir there. Briefly, as we switch back to Al Majal, the pole sitter, and so far the only driver to receive a penalty here. Now, I do have another reason, or potential reason, as to why he's picked up this penalty, because on the starting procedure, or during the starting procedure, excuse me, he was, what looked to be, was trying to block the rest of the field on coming through. Now that would have moved him offline, because he should have been on the right-hand side, where his second position, which is Stephanie, was starting on the left, and it looks like he was trying to close the door before the race had even started here in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now, through the final corners we come, we should see Al Majal turn to the right sharply. Does he do it? No, he doesn't. Now, is there more time? No, better yet, he has, because on his screen, he isn't. He's been disqualified because he came across the line without serving the drive-through penalty, and now one of the officials are explaining to the rules as to why he's been disqualified. So, unfortunately, he should have taken that right turn. And of course, now he's asking why he was disqualified, for what reason. Ali Mohammed seems to have lost a lap. No, he hasn't, as the timing screen has corrected itself to 4.3 seconds behind Al Rafai. Now, Abdullah Jadid is now up in 3rd position, so he's made up 2 positions on that lap. Now moving up into 3rd overall, ahead of Al Zahran, and Al Saud has now made his way into the top 5 as well, and he's only 0.6 of a second, excuse me, off of Al Zahran. And it looks like we've got a great battle here actually brewing for 4th position between Al Zahran and Al Saud, and of course they are separated by only 0.6 of a second, and this is that gap there right now at the moment. It's about a car length and a half separating the two of them here. And this, of course, is the battle for 4th position. Now, there are prizes on offer, as we said. 11,000 Saudi Arabian Riyals is the prize pool here for our top 5 drivers here for our second final here at the Aramco Sim Arena. This, of course, is the final for Assetto Corsa Competizione. Tomorrow, we'll have the final for the F1 2022 drivers, which, of course, will have a few drivers that were racing here and racing yesterday as well, will be taking part in F1 2022 tomorrow. Now we're looking at the back, well, we were momentarily looking at the back there of Al Zahran's car, but now we're looking on board of Al Saud, and now he's dropping back ever so slightly. He's lost about 14th of a second at the moment, sort of in there between that lap that we just had. But the battle is certainly on here, as we said, for fourth position, as the race leader is coming across the line. He's 2.8 seconds to the good of Al Ubaid. And then Abdullah Jadid in third position, Al Zahran in fourth, with Al Saud. That's Aziz Al Saud as well, who is in fifth position. Oh, we've got another great battle here for what would be sixth place overall. Walid Tahir, Ghazawi is in the mix as well, as he's actually officially gone past as well. And it looks like Rafai wants it in as well, as he goes up on the inside, takes position away. Ghazawi unfortunately misses the braking point. Oh, and he almost got it pear-shaped there completely for Al Rafai. And this has allowed Walid Tahir to go back in front. Stay ahead. No, he hasn't actually, because Walid Tahir is actually shown behind Rafai here. Now here's a quick replay of that. Here's Al Rafai in the background. As you see, Ghazawi's up on the inside. He makes the move stick, or does he? Because he misses his braking point now, doesn't he, going into the first corner? And there on the inside, Rafai follows him, but a slight little bit of contact there, unsettles the cars ever so slightly, and then off he goes into the right-hand side there of Walid Tahir. Now, it is good that we're not using full damage here, because that would have been very costly as well to the front end of the car. That would have certainly upset the aerodynamics of the vehicle. Oh, and around goes, who was that? That was Al Rafai by the looks of it. He just seemed to have lost it going through the corner. Indeed, he was. Now, that looked to be no fault but his own, as Walid Tahir was not at fault there at all. I will definitely vouch for that, but you can see it just up ahead at the moment if we're getting a replay of it. Here it is. So Al Rafai is around the outside, and Walid Tahir on the inside here. Is that a replay of it? No, it's not, because Al Rafai has gone off again here. So not the race for Al Rafai here, as Ghazawi is edging closer now to the top five. He's 1.1 seconds back from Aziz Al Saud. So we're down to just 9 drivers here in our Assetto Corsa Competizione final here at the Aramco Sim Arena. Looking at Walid Tahir. This is the replay of what exactly happened to Al Rafai as he cuts across Walid Tahir. Oh, and actually that did look like ever so slightly a bit of contact to the rear bumper of Al Rafai's car, so maybe I was incorrect, and Walid Tahir did have some involvement with Al Rafai's lawn mowing there. So no doubt the stewards will be looking into that. So it looks like the stewards here have got quite a busy task here. As I can see, the race director Mario is keeping a close eye on a few of the drivers here, including race simulator number 5, and that will be Abdelkader Ghazawi, the Lebanese driver there, on the bottom right row of our 10 simulators. You'll see that one simulator has been vacated, unfortunately for Hamid Al-Mujel. Unfortunately out of the race, did not serve his drive-through penalty, unfortunately is out here. So just 9 drivers remaining, less than 9 minutes on the clock here around Silverstone here in the Aramco Sim Arena. Oh, it looks like we've got a battle brewing up further ahead of this battle here. That is Aziz Al Saud and Ghazawi here. So Ghazawi on a mission to break into the top 5 again as he moves up on the inside, and that unsettles both cars there. Not giving each other enough room, but both of them staying on track, although Al Saud did run wide through that corner, and well, he's picked up a bit of grass, so he's got to watch out for any possible overheating there if it's stuck on the front radiator of his car. But Al Ghazawi here, fantastic drive from early dramas earlier on. He's kind of in catch-up mode at the moment. Of course, he wants to be on the podium. I don't know if the podium is in sight for him. As again, he's on the inside of Aziz Al Saud, but this was the replay, wasn't it? Yes, it is. That's the replay through the final corner of the incident between the two of them. Al Ghazawi 7/10 of a second back from Aziz Al Saud, and he's trying to move from the inside. Left-hander there, trying to find a way through. A little bit of damage to the bonnet there of Al Ghazawi. Of course, that will affect the aero properties of the vehicle as well, because the air will be rushing underneath that. We'll be actually trying to lift it up as well. But it's just to see if the physics engine works like that here in Assetto Corsa Competizione, just to see it ping up, and if Ghazaoui can finish the race with the bonnet lifted over his windshield. But I don't think the game has that programmed into it. So Ghazaoui now officially into the top 5. So he's made his way through nice and clean, and now into one of the finishing positions that will net him a prize here. As I said, a prize pool of 11,000 Saudi Arabian riyals for our top 5 here. Now, how far back is he from 4th position? It says 4.39 seconds is the gap between the two of them. As we ride on board here with Aziz Al Saud, he's not done yet. He would like to be in the top 5 here and walk away with a prize later on, about 7 minutes time. But it's going to be hard here to pass Al Ghazaoui. He's going to try and follow him through. It looks like he's taking a much wider line. Looks like he might be using a little bit too much of the throttle, rolling his way through the corner. If he's going to want to challenge Ghazaoui, he's going to have to stay in the back bumper of Ghazaoui here. These two continue to battle on, and it looks like Safani maybe being caught by Al Obeid by the looks of it. The battle for the top step of the podium may start to heat up here in the last 5 minutes of the race, even though on the straightaways Safani is gaining ground. As we're riding on board again with Aziz Al Saud, who's desperately trying to find a way to catch the back bumper here of Ghazaoui. And of course, he's got to be very careful with his mistakes. Now, looking at the track map as well, it looks like Al Zahran is not too far away either. Granted, 3.7 seconds is a larger gap than the gap up front of 2.2 seconds last time round, which actually has gone up down to 2.8 seconds. So Al Obeid has lost 1/6 of a second coming across the line in the 3rd and final sector of lap number 7 there. So on lap number 8 here around Silverstone, all the drivers here racing in the Aston Martin V8 Vantage, all equipped with the 4-litre bi-turbo V8 from AMG. And this is Ali Mohammed and Walid Taher battling for what appears to be 7th position at the moment. It's a 10th of a second across the line as Muhammad Ali tucks in behind him, as Walid Taher shuts the door on Muhammad Ali, doesn't let him through, but Muhammad looking for a way on the inside. He's going to think better of it. Can he flank to the left? No, he can't, as Taher once again closes the door on him, and he's going to try and now follow in his slipstream here, especially on the straightaways. A much tighter corner there for Ali Mohammed, excuse me, compared to Walid Taher. And you can see just how better that corner was for Ali Mohammed, as he's really now up to the back bumper of Walid Taher, but he's going to try and go around the outside there. Now, that's not where you want to be in this corner. He's going to try and get this cut back here, dive to the inside, but Walid Taher has shut the door on him to ensure that he stays in 7th. But again, Ali looking on the inside here, going into the left-hander. Can he do it? He's got to be careful with those sausage curves there on the left as well, because that will really unsettle the car, and it can really throw you off. I found out the hard way. Oh, and a bit of contact there with Ali Mohammed on the inside of Walid Taher there. That's the frustration coming out there, of course, because he's desperately trying to find a way through. Now, the good news is he hasn't taken Walid off, and he stayed behind him as well, so no advantage gained. Although I can imagine the race directors will be looking at it, but that is contact, and that has put Walid Taher at a deficit as well, because he's collected Ali Mohammed, and again, just missing his braking point there. And unfortunately for Walid Taher, that is not what he would like at all. He wanted to have a nice clean race, but unfortunately, he's been punted off. I think that's actually for the 2nd time as well. I think earlier on as well, he had some contact with another driver. Ghazaoui is closing up as well. He's 1.2 seconds back from Al Zahran, but out in front, Safani is extending his lead again by 3.398 seconds up front. It looks rather comfortable for him. Walid Taher now coming under pressure. And here's the replay there of Ali Mohammed there. He's just on the inside. That's not where you wanted to be at all. He was just far too late on the brakes there for Walid Taher, and unfortunately Walid Taher there couldn't do anything about it. He was racing around the corner as he was supposed to do. It was his own race as well that he's in here, and unfortunately there he's missed the braking point as well, drifting a little wide, and that concedes the position back to Ali Mohammed. A great battle here for 7th position overall. And actually Rafai is closing in as well. Actually, has Rafai gone through by the looks of it? Yes, he has. So Walid Taher, unfortunately, now at the tail end of the field of our runners here, because of course now that will put him in 9th position, as you said. Unfortunately, our pole sitter Ahmed Al-Mujal was disqualified because he did not come into service drive-through penalty. Again, we'll try and figure out why exactly he got that drive-through penalty. I can only assume it was for the race start. Now, thinking of the other incident that we were thinking of, it doesn't make a lot of sense. The position, though, at the very start of the race does make sense for the drive-through penalty that he unfortunately did not serve. But here we are looking at Ghazawi, and it looks like he's getting closer to Al-Zahran. And actually, has he got through? Yes, he has. So Ghazawi has gone through into fourth position. Oh, and he just loses it through the corner there. Just a little bit too early there on the accelerator, just too much gas. And unfortunately, that spun him around. But he still sits in fifth position now, which again will net him a prize at the end of the race here. With 1.5 minutes to go, he can and try bring that gap down, but now he's going to have to deal with Aziz Al Saud again. He already passed him and basically escaped up the road, but it looks like he's going to have to do battle with him once again here around Silverstone. So we race here on the Aramco Sim Arena here with not one, not two, but multiple setups here with Assetto Corsa Competizione. We've got F1 2022 and Gran Turismo Sport. If you haven't tried it out for yourself, do come down and check it out. And if you're here in the arena, I highly recommend, once the final's concluded, that you give the Assetto Corsa Competizione rigs here that have been set up by pole position a go, because it is a really immersive experience, and I highly recommend that you try it out here. So this should be the final lap of the race. Safani is still 3 seconds to the good ahead of his closest rival, and he looks like he's about to make his way out of Sector 2 into the final sector for what should be the final time. This should be the last lap of the race here. This is lap number 10 around Silverstone. Now, through the right-hander we go. Now, after this corner for Safani, he would go across the sector timing line there to enter Sector 3 with 12 seconds to go. So yes, indeed, when he comes across the line, we'll count down to absolute zero, and it'll mark the end of the race here. For Safani, it's been a nice, clean and relatively easy race here. There was a good battle right at the beginning with himself and Al-Mujal, but unfortunately with that drive-through penalty and of course the disqualification, it has not gone the way that we might have hoped here, as we did yesterday with that epic battle we had in Gran Turismo Sport. But for Safani, as he works his way now through the final corner, he'll see the checkered flag and he will be the winner here in Assetto Corsa Competizione. And a great win there for Safani. He's happy about that, as are the other driver. Al Abeid across the line in second. A great drive as well for Al Abeid. Jardid, it didn't go right for him at the beginning, but it's certainly come right because he will complete the podium here as he comes across the line to take third overall, and that was a mega drive from Jardid. But what could have been if he just didn't have that early race contact. Al-Zahran now will work his way through the penultimate corner. That, of course, is Khalid Al-Zahran, who will make his way now through the final corner, and he'll come across the line in fourth place. A valiant drive there from him. And then Al-Ghazawi will come across the line in fifth. Not quite what he hoped for here. He was looking for a stronger podium finish, but of course, across the line in fifth, that nets him part of the prize pool money that we have here for the finalists. Aziz Al Saud there across the line in sixth, Ali Mohammed seventh, Al Rafai eighth, and Walid Taher, the last of the runners here, across the line in ninth position. And unfortunately, as we said, Al-Mujal did not complete the race, 7 laps down. What a fantastic final that was here at the Aramco Sim Arena. And the Assetto Corsa Competizione. You can imagine Safani is very happy with that finish, and it looks like we've got a spotlight now pointing on Safani there on the blue shirt. Missed out on the win yesterday due to slipping a gear. Or should we say slipping a gear? He missed the gear, actually, from what he told us after the race. But this time round, pitch perfect, and he's happy about that as he congratulates the rest of the drivers there. Unfortunately, I've not got a handheld mic with me today, so I can't get his thoughts on the race. But of course, we will have the podium presentation shortly for our top 5 finishers. I think, again, we'll have a very special guest here today who will be helping us present the winners with their prizes. So with our Assetto Corsa Competizione final wrapped up. For those of you who are in the arena and you haven't tried the setups here from pole position that we have for Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I've got a hand mic now. Thank you, Dion. Let's go down and see if we can grab a quick word with Stephanie. I think I will have to grab a translator though, because that's what we had to do yesterday. But no doubt he will be absolutely chuffed to bits about that. And let's see if we can get a word with him. I see Al-Hathi is back here again. Okay. So we'll just grab someone here that can help translate here for me. But let's get a quick word in for Stephanie, our race winner. That was a fantastic drive. It didn't go well for you yesterday. You missed the gear, but this time it seems to be picture perfect.
طيب اول شيء شباب يعطيهم العافيه. جبت انا في الكواليفاي المركز الثاني. لعل صار في خطا من المركز الاول، قدرت اتجاوزه في اللحظه اللي هو اخطا فيها. قدرت اسحب اعطي جاب بيني وبين المركز الثاني والثالث. شكرا للي كان في المركز العاشر صار في المركز الثالث. سباق كان ممتع قدر الامكان، قدر المستطاع حاولت اني اكون محافظ على البوزيشن حقي، ما ابغى اي احد يلحقني. والحمد لله تمينا السباق، كان كلين، كان نظيف، ما في اي حوادث، ما في اي اخطاء، والحمد لله.
He's so happy, like he started late, but he took the first place, and he was trying to keep it there, and he enjoyed the whole race, and he said everything was perfect, and he's thanking everyone.
That was a great race then, and let's see if we can get a quick word in with the man who finished. You finished second? Yeah. Well, there was a good race there. So we found the man who finished in second position. It was close towards the end. He was starting to catch up, bit by bit, but then sort of towards the end of the race, it kind of just didn't come your way. What happened?
Well, actually, the tire overheated, and I was waiting for him to make a mistake, but he drove past Santa Drive. I saw his driving line, so I tried to follow different, but didn't work well. But it needs a little bit of tuning adjustment, and might get it. But he was driving pretty good, and I assume, and I think most of the players I talked before to them to the race prior, they said they're going to use the default setup, which is aggressive setup. So we basically were all about the same level. Nothing changed, but the race starts, and how consistent you can be in the base. This is the most important thing.
Well, it's still a great drive nonetheless, and congratulations on second position. As he said, we will have the podium presentation shortly. Now let's go down to fifth position, the last man who will be on the last steps of the podium, because we will have 5 prizes to be given away here. As we said, a prize pool of 11,000 Saudi Arabian riyals. Let's have a quick word with Al-Ghazawi. We spoke earlier on, and you said you were hoping for third, second, first. You had some great battles, but unfortunately it just didn't go your way, did it?
Yeah, really, I wanted third, but I had a bit on the corner, so I will start 8th. Then I finished 5th, so it was a great race. But hope they will play again and find if there is some mistakes in it, because I had a great time. So about 2 minutes, 2 seconds, 0.0. So nice to meet all the guys.
Well, there's always tomorrow, because of course you're in the F1 2022 as well tomorrow, aren't you?
Yeah, we will wait tomorrow, and you will be great tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much there for some final words. Now let's see if we can find any of the drivers. I actually want to find Al-Mujal to see exactly what happened. And I know he's here in the corner, and I know he's trying to hide away from me. Now let's see if we can get a quick word from our pole sitter here. He was here in the corner. Okay. So unfortunately, I thought there was a drive there, because I wanted to get a quick word with pole position. Now, do we have any of the other drivers here that we can figure out who is who? So I haven't seen a lot of the faces. I do know a few of the drivers here, but not all of them. So I think maybe we'll just wait for the podium presentation, where we'll be handing out our 5 prizes. And of course, we do have our special guest here as well, who'll be helping present our prizes. So we'll just take a quick 10-minute break here to sort everything out, and then we'll have the podium presentation.